Hey Riley besties, welcome back to the Writing with Anna new podcast where we talk about all things writing. In today's video, we're going to be chatting about my own personal writing struggles because of course this is a writing podcast. So I think it's obviously good to kind of talk about these things, not so much about like how to do this or just like the logistics, but more so the emotional, more personal stuff, as well as like, your actual struggles, the stuff that you're dealing with writing, because of course, again, writing is a hard hobby, a hard career. It's something that's really difficult, and that's why I think that's honestly why there's not many writers. But of course, that doesn't mean that it's not worth it. So today, I hope some of these struggles maybe relate to you, or maybe just give you some insight. I don't want this sort of episode to be too ranty. I mean, I think I will go on because I feel like you guys know I'm pretty ranty sometimes in my episodes. But honestly, this is where I can chat about my own stuff and also, allow you guys to listen to it. So let's go ahead and stop rambling, and actually get on to this episode. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing I have 5 things on this list, and the first thing I just came up with was just simply writing and doubting the time that I spend writing. It's stupid and ridiculous, but you know how sometimes like you write for like, I don't know, like an hour and you don't get a lot of work done, you don't see a lot of progress in your work, and you just like feel that doubt, that sense of like, man, I could have been doing something else, or like maybe I should be prioritizing my work somewhere else. And I think this majorly stems from my sort of perception of writing and what other people have been telling me, and just like the world's view, my parents' view on writing in general, and how it's not, something good to invest your time in, you know what I mean? And I know that's stupid and ridiculous and makes me very frustrated, but sometimes I have like that double thought, and I think this is extremely personal to me and specific to me because I'm not sure if you guys also kind of get this, and I'm just trying to delete all those beliefs that I've had about writing and becoming an author, and that my dreams actually are possible, and that this is a good career, and this is something that I should, and it's okay, to be spending my time doing writing, if you know what I mean. So I don't know, just sometimes I struggle with that. I'm just like, yeah, is this the best way to spend my time? And I think that's more so when I am stuck in my work or stuck in a chapter and I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is stressing me out. What's the point, sort of thing? I mean, it's not too often I get like this, but just sometimes I'm double thinking, which is terrible, and I'm trying to stop myself from it. So that's enough with that one. The second personal struggle I've been dealing with is actually distractions from other projects, and I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. A lot of writers, basically, we have ideas every single freaking day. How do you not expect us to be working on like a few different projects at once? And they're all in different stages of the brainstorming, draft 1, draft 2, like it's insane. And a big sort of, I guess, like obvious example of this is Project O, which I've talked about before in this podcast and in a few of my videos. In my last recent video on my YouTube channel, I talked about one of the characters in this project, and that was really, really exciting. But in particular, Project O, that was a distraction project, and I don't care at all. Like, I was finishing up a 0 draft on another project, and I kind of got motivation to start this project, so it was kind of okay like that, but, I should be, actually sticking to my priorities and my projects that I should be writing, but I just, I have very, very bad control over what happens in my mind and what projects and stories I pick. It has to do with my mood, and I think I'm a mood writer most of the time. So yeah, I guess that's another struggle. The third struggle is actually interesting. It's very specific, and that is that I get to like this part in my writing. Not really. More so, basically, sorry. My mind just went crazy, right? Sorry. Let me start again. Basically, I can't read my books as I write. So I'm either like taking a writing slump and reading, or I'm taking a reading slump and writing. And right now, I haven't read a book in like since the start of the year. And it's so bad. I've only read like, I don't even know, 5 books this year. And like, I have so many books on my TBR. It's crazy. Like, if you're on my if you're on my YouTube, sorry, you can see all my books over there. And it's like, my bookshelf is getting, I actually do want to do a bookshelf organization video, which will be so, so fun because I want to organize all my projects. I mean, seriously, I'm in the writing mood right now. All of my books, no, not my books, my books. Yeah, my books. Yeah. So I just feel like usually it's hard for me to be writing and like be kind of stuck in a world that I spend most of my time in, then also be reading another world that usually is completely different. If you don't know, I'm like out of breath. Why am I out of breath? Give me a second. If you didn't know, I love to read fantasy, and I used to write fantasy so freaking much, so that would work well. But now I'm not writing fantasy, so I don't know. I'm just like, it's so weird. It's so weird. So now I can't write when I read, and I can't read when I write. So I'm just like, when am I ever gonna read? Because I've just been writing this whole year. So I'm just like, okay. I guess that's very specific to me. I bet no one else has that problem. I'm just really silly. The fourth struggle I think is actually comparing myself, and I feel like this is surely something you can relate to in regards to comparing your work to other writers and to other authors who literally publish and who literally have a degree in writing and who literally are like 60 years old. I mean, like, doesn't matter if you're 60s, you know what I mean. They have experience, even life experience, and me as like a teenage writer, I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I was talking to Rachel actually. This was something I didn't realize, and that is, I get insecure sometimes because I realized, because Rachel, I was like FaceTiming her and she was just like, yeah, like, oh my gosh, Anna, you've only really been doing this for like 1 year, like 1.5 years. I'm just like, yeah, my first project was like only 1.5 years ago to 2 years ago. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so new to AuthorTube. Oh my gosh, I'm so new to writing. Even though it feels like I've been doing it my whole life. Like what? I mean, technically I have been writing, but I haven't been taking it seriously to the point where I would consider myself a writer and I would have projects and I would have actual stories. You know what I mean? So I sometimes feel inferior when I compare myself to other AuthorTubers, to other writers in regards to that. And I think that could also be very personal to me. But yeah, that's something that I struggle with sometimes. And I just like want to focus on my writing and my stories. And sometimes I get caught up and I get like too inspired that I get intimidated by other authors. Like, is that a thing? I get so inspired that I begin to get intimidated and stressed. And I'm like, oh, why can't I do that? Why aren't I there yet? When it's all a journey. Okay, the fifth and final thing is something that's a little bit sad, a little bit lonesome, a little bit depressing. If you guys don't know, I live in Australia. Look, this is me when I'm about to rant. I don't like ranting, and I love Australia. Yeah, I love Australia. I do. I like look, it's not my choice. I was born here, but it's just hard. Obviously, I'm very grateful because Australia is a really, really great country. But like everyone else is living in like Europe or even America, and like there, like even the natural like landscapes are so much prettier. Here in Australia, it's basically just like the beach and then the desert. And there's nothing else. And the architecture is really bad. We have no real history that like dates before Christ, and it's just like, what's going on, babes? I don't know. I just really, really want to live in Europe, in somewhere where there's like you can look around and you can be like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. And that's why I loved going to Hong Kong. I'm going to do a vlog on that very soon. I went to Hong Kong for 2 weeks for my birthday, and I loved it there because it was just so cool and so different from Australia. And I think I'm just too sheltered here, and I want to explore the world. Anyways, sorry, this is like what I was saying with that in regards to writing is that I'm lonely as a writer in Australia. There are some authors who are Australian, even like indie Australian authors who I really look up to and I love them, but there's not many people my age who write books, and if they say they do, like sometimes I meet someone, I'm like, "What, you write books?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was thinking of writing this book." And I'm just like, "Wow, that's so cool. Like you should write it." And then I even like brainstorm with them, their plot and what they're struggling with their book, and they never write it because they're not a right then it's hard to explain. And like everyone on AuthorTube too is like everyone's in Canada. Like what? Everyone's overseas on the other side of the world, and it's also difficult with time zones and stuff like that. And sometimes I just want to physically see a writer and go out and have coffee with them and just write with them, talk about our characters in person. I love talking about characters online to my friends like Tiana, or I even, again, as I mentioned, met Rachel, and like, I just want to meet them in person and like live somewhere where I can meet them. Like, is that so hard to ask? I don't know. It's just interesting, and I think that could also be a very personal one to me. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a bit chaotic, I don't even know. I'm in a weird headspace today, so apologize. And that's basically all my episodes, so you're probably used to it by now if you've been listening to my podcast. Also, thank you so much for 4,500 followers on Spotify. When I saw that yesterday, I think it was last night, I'm just like, oh my gosh, because I just like hit 45k on YouTube, and then seen 4.5k on Spotify. Wow, so good. I love this podcast so much. I'm so glad I started because now it's just a part of my routine. I'm just like, yeah, Wednesdays, Fridays, I have to upload a podcast. Like, that's just how it is, okay? And I love it. And I'm so excited for future podcasts and future episodes. So definitely stay tuned. Again, I post every Wednesdays, Fridays. Anyways, yeah. Let me know if you guys related, if you struggle, because of course writing is difficult most of the time. But just know that, even through the trials and tribulations, it's fine. We'll get through. And writing is something that we love at the end of the day. And, these are the problems that we want to have. These are like things that we just need to like take a step back and be like, okay, it's not that bad. Okay, it's not that dramatic. You know what I mean? But all writers are dramatic. What am I saying? All writers are dramatic. Okay, I'm gonna stop there because I need to I need to just stop rambling. Anyways, I love you guys with all my heart, and I hope to see you in my next podcast episode. And also, thank you so much for listening in. It means the world. Okay, bye.